Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video, we're going to talk about miniature wargaming. Now, of course, we do that a lot on the channel, and today's video, we're going to talk about a particular part of it. We're going to talk about that world outside of Games Workshop, and even outside of the big major companies that run it. Obviously, Games Workshop are industry leaders in miniature wargaming, the largest company out there, and they provide a ton of different miniature wargames for a ton of different miniature wargamers. I would say that the vast majority of people in miniature wargaming have at least dealt with something from Games Workshop, whether that be just paints or tools, or indeed some models or game system from them. Everyone has probably dealt with Games Workshop at some point in time. Probably 99.99% of people have. With that said, this past probably 6 months, I've really been looking to explore more with my miniature wargaming horizons, and obviously this has led me to companies like Parabellum War Games and Modivius Games and Mantic Games and lots of other companies that do miniature war games. But today, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about the really small game companies, because there are a ton of really small niche little war games out there that are fantastic. They have some really interesting concepts, some really interesting design, and some really interesting rules mechanics. For me, this simply came about from finding one game, then finding something else pop up from that game, and then finding another one that like, oh, this looks sort of like this. And from there, I just sort of started looking more and more, and I want to talk about some much smaller style games, some, let's say, indie games on here, and just sort of give you an idea of some of the games that are out there in the world. And the last thing I want to talk about as well is if you are an indie wargaming company, we would love to help you on the channel. Let us know what your game is, what you can do with your game, and let us know. We've got available on Facebook or sending us an email. We've got the email linked on the YouTube channel's description and stuff like that. Or you can contact us through our Discord server and stuff like that. We'd love to help get more indie games seen by more people on the channel, and we're definitely going to do that. We've got some cool indie games coming up. Many of the ones that we're going to mention in this video are going to make their way onto the channel very soon. But with that all said, let's get cracking on, and we're going to talk about 5 really interesting smaller game systems I've found that I've been really enjoying the look of, and that we've got miniatures and stuff coming for to get us started with these games in the future. And so, first up, how could I not mention Twisted? This one has come up to me very, very recently, and it was why I was interested. Was there a steampunk miniatures game out there? I literally typed in steampunk miniatures game, and Twisted came up, and lo and behold, it's actually made in Australia, which is awesome. I had never seen a Australian miniatures game before, and if there are more, let me know. I'd be love to support more Australian miniatures game. But Twisted popped up. It's a cool theme. I mean, steampunk is a really popular theme for lots of different things, but I particularly love it. You can see some of the miniatures up here. They look absolutely fantastic. They've got stuff like Journey to the West and all of that sort of stuff. Desert Sand style things. The witch on the mechanical broom that you've got pictured here is absolutely awesome. But Twisted, it's a skirmish-style miniature game set in the late 19th century. You're sort of in an alternate reality where some things have gone wrong, and there's this giant machine that sort of sits beneath the earth and changes how the world works. Use a card-based character activation system in the game, and you quickly transfer from player to player as you use predetermined order of activation cards. You've also got this cool deck called the Eye of the Engine that sort of adds some element of randomness to the game, where you can get a whole source of different things from. And there's also lots of game options available to generating different missions, hidden tasks, which are always a fun part of any game, getting missions and extra things to do throughout the game. And it's also got a ton of narrative. There's a really, really strong narrative. A lot of the characters have very good storylines. They're very interactive through the world, and a lot of the stuff, you can get a full 10-card game narrative system for the game as well. It's a really nice, immersive system that gives a good mix of interesting rules mechanics plus a ton of narrative, which is something I really like in my miniatures games. Next, we have Moonstone. Now, this was another one that popped up to me recently, and I immediately fell in love with the aesthetic of this game. Moonstone has such a cool and unique look. It really does take me, looking at the miniatures you can see here, into like that dark crystal labyrinth sort of world, bit of never-ending story in it as well, but just such a weird and wacky, cool style of miniature game. What's really cool about Moonstone as well is it actually doesn't use dice for anything except rolling for turn order. It does have some D4s in it, but they are used for objectives in the game, of which you randomly drop the objectives above the table. You just drop dice on the table. That's literally how you determine where the objectives end up. And the game is also pointsless. There's no points in the game. Instead, you pick a variety of different miniatures from the different factions within the game to fill out your warband, where the game really balances by picking out the different combinations the characters can compile together to create. Makes for a really interesting game with a different sort of take to it. Moonstone itself has some really cool and evocative lore. The idea is that Moonstone is this powerful substance that goes at night, and you've effectively got to go out and gather it all up and capture it and use it to fuel your magical powers. You've got factions like fairies and goblins and gnomes and trolls and humans of different sorts, including some cool masquerade style humans and some Saturday morning early cartoons. Like, I imagine one of them very much reminds me of Prince Charming out of Shrek. It's a perfect way to describe one of the characters. And there's also, you know, fantastical names on stuff like Baron von Fancy Pants. Some really cool stuff. It's a really fun and unique aesthetic, which really does draw into the game with a really unique playstyle as well. This is done by Goblin King Games as well, so if you'd like to go have a check out, go check out Moonstone. We've got it coming for the channel and should have it up very shortly. Next, we have The Drowned Earth, and this one actually came up when we started talking about what other miniature games people would like to see on the channel, and we had one of our subscribers shout out and say, you should check out The Drowned Earth, and so we went along and did, and had a really cool look at the game, and we've picked up some of the starter set. We've got that on the way, which is really fun. We're hopefully getting some more stuff on the way very soon for The Drowned Earth. This one's probably a little bit further away than some of the other games we've been picking up, but it is a really cool game. So first of all, the setting for it is in like some post-apocalyptic world where effectively the Earth has been drowned out, and there's just a bunch of mountains and small islands that are pretty much the thing. The game is supposed to be very terrain heavy and actually recommends like a large portion of the game actually be submerged in water. So this is really cool. It gives a really different feel. I love games that are terrain heavy. This does require, I guess, you to make a lot more terrain, but definitely going to like an aquarium shop or something like that will find a ton of different cool terrain features for the game. But it's got a really cool set of miniatures with some really cool, unique, interesting factions that have some different sort of models. You've got the cool sort of lizard men, you've got ape-like creatures, you've got alternate sort of humans, like mutated due to all the things that happen in the world, and of course some normal sort of humans, and also dinosaurs, and random dinosaurs running around the world as well. There's like dinosaur minis for the game, which is a massive selling point. Dinosaurs are cool. But it's also a reactionary alternating activation system. So it's sort of, you know, I activate one, you activate one, but also there's different things you can do to react to your opponent's actions when they start shooting you. You can do things like firefights and all of that, where you attack each other, which is really, really cool. Just adds that extra layer of depth to a miniature game. And then we have Bushido by GCT Games. This is a really cool one for me. I'm a big fan of all the Japanese sort of stuff, Japanese history and all of that. Like many, you know, nerds, I watched a lot of anime and that sort of stuff imprinted on me at a very young age. Samurais and ninjas are cool. And so Bushido was really interesting having a look at it. First of all, it's got some really cool, unique warbands. Japanese mythology is not something that awfully taken a lot of time for a lot of people to really look at, and it's nice to see a game that incorporates some of that and also incorporate a lot of traditional sort of Japanese stuff like the samurai and ninjas, and all of that is nice as well. But for me, it's a really cool system. So alternating activation, which is great. A lot of skirmish games have gone down this road lately, which is fantastic. But also it's action points. You get a certain amount of action points on all your different characters to do a bunch of different things throughout the game. And these can differ depending on which characters you sort of take, which is really nice. There's a wide variety of different factions. There's pirates in it for me, which is amazing. Just some of the miniatures you can see here on the left, some of the miniatures are just absolutely fantastic. I love the wolf warband with these cool sort of samurai-like guys with the wolves and all of that. It's really fun. You've got the sumo wrestler and the more warriors on the side. It's a really, really cool game with really unique look that there's not much of in the miniature wargaming scene. So definitely gets a massive shout for me, Bushido by GCT Games. And lastly, Rivenstone. Now, I've put this one up here, and I don't really know an awful lot about it. I saw some really cool minis pop up on Twitter one day, and that was for Rivenstone. Now, this is a brand new game. Apparently, they've had a bunch of different gaming shows done at Adepticon. They're currently showing off the game at Adepticon. You can't buy anything currently at Adepticon, but they're showing off the game. And they've showed off some really cool miniatures and a unique aesthetic. Definitely a little bit of World of Warcraft vibes to those orcs you can see there, and even the humans. Definitely what I get from this game, but they're really, really cool minis. I'm really interested to learn more about this game, but I put this one in here because this is worth keeping an eye out for things that are up and coming. There's definitely always more games getting added to the community and to the world, so definitely keep an eye out on what's to come around where you are. Definitely take a look to try and support new games, companies coming out with new games, trying new things in new different systems to really just get a little bit of everything out there. It's cool to see new game companies coming out with brand new minis. There can never be enough cool minis for me in the world. I'll be really excited to see where Rivenstone goes from here, but I urge everyone to check out more game companies, and also really important to check out what's coming out from other new game companies as well. Go find new things. We'll definitely try to, as the channel progresses, keep you up to date with more new things coming out from different companies. We aim to have a podcast starting soon. We're going to start talking about different miniature games and stuff like that on it. But this is what I'm really excited for, exploring more of these smaller miniature games on the channel, showcasing them and showing you there may be a miniature game out there that is absolutely perfect for you. You don't need a massive community to play a miniature game. You just need you and a mate, and that's all it is. You, a mate, maybe a couple of mates playing around a table. That's all that needs for a great community. You don't need those big 30, 40 player events. That doesn't need to happen, but you do need to be playing the games. So go give them all a check out. There's some really cool stuff out there. Let us know if there's any other cool games you think we should check out that are indie games. We of course know about all the big ones, you know, like Mantic and Games Workshop. All of that we'll definitely be checking out, but I'd love to hear more of these smaller miniature games. If you know friends that are making a miniature game or have something out, let us know down in the comments. Make some contact with us. We'd love to help support in whatever way we can to get your game out there or your favorite game out there. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, drop us a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Cinderful Gaming, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel and get your name up on the screen like all these fantastic people do, you can do so by supporting us either on Patreon or YouTube members. As a special thanks to all our Patreon and YouTube members, we'd love to give them a shout out. So a shout out to our Patreons: Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, and Dynet226. And a shout out to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Shelf, Adriana Edwards, and Sean Scott. A special thanks as well to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for our channel, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing background work for our channel's Discord server as well. Thank you all for watching. Once again, everyone, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.